How much of it was a matter of the honor of John Dean versus the fear that they were going to scapegoat you anyway?
Well, there was no question that that was their plan. When I went in on March 21st and told Nixon there was a cancer on the presidency and went through this litany of things, hoping he'd bring his fist down on the desk and say, this has to stop. And I'm really somewhat surprised. For example, at one point I tell him, you know, these guys are asking for more and more money, no telling how much they're going to ask for.
He says we can get more.
And he says, well, how much could they ask? Yeah. And I pulled out of thin air what I thought would be a number that would offend him. And I said it could be $1 million. What's that, 5.5 today? And his reaction is, that's no problem, John. I know where we can get $1 million. I said, Mr. President, people are going to go to jail around here. And he said, like who? I said, like me. He said, oh, John, the lawyers don't go to jail. That doesn't happen. But I knew by saying that, I put him in a position where how can he deal with me if I think I'm on my way to jail? And that's what, the conversations that follow that, where I'm not in the room, they go round and round and round, endless conversations about this, how to deal with me, how to deal with John Mitchell, and they decide the simple solution is we'll scapegoat them both. Mitchell will take responsibility, they'll lay it on him for the break-in, and me for the cover-up.
For them, they were true believers.
Who?
And
they.
Liddy, right? I mean, was it that on some level they saw you as a betrayer of Nixon?
I wouldn't want to try to get into Liddy's mind. Liddy has portrayed himself as a James Bond type character who went to work for Richard Nixon. He's not quite at the Maxwell Smart level, actually. What happened is the presidency didn't lose strength during Watergate. The Congress gained its normal strength and became a full check on the expansive presidency. That's what worried me until the House, the midterm elections gave the House back to the Democrats where they could be a check on this president. I think that Trump is going to make Nixon look like a choir boy before it's over. Nixon's motives were never personal. They were, his revenge might have been personal. They weren't for any kind of mercurial, monetary, or other reason. They were just, he just didn't like some people, and he wanted to get revenge on them, but he never tried to monetize the presidency.
Do you feel like, what would we have remembered about Nixon had there not been a Watergate? Would this have been a successful administration?
What I discovered while still there is there were two Nixons. There was a public Nixon and there was a private Nixon. There's a Nixon on the tapes. It's not the same as the public Nixon. The Environmental Protection Agency, right. He explores health insurance for everybody. He does the China initiative. You know, the public Nixon is very respectable and very admirable. It's the private Nixon that really does in the public Nixon. He was very driven by revenge. And I think Nixon understood that revenge is one of the reasons that it did in his presidency, because he did hate others and he wanted to nail them. The big difference between Trump and Nixon is that Trump is very open about it.